Jimmy. Welcome back to the show. Happy Monday to you. Uncle Jimmy coming back from COVID. Dude, what are you wearing? And what are you wearing and Jim, what is this?
The hell it look like, Jason? You know what the F stand for in John F. Kennedy?
Please don't say.
Freaky. John Freaky Kennedy. And his brother's name. You know that man's name was Robert F. Kennedy? Robert, he Freaky too, Kennedy. And the thing is, we always heard about it. We laughed about it. Oh, well, you know, Kennedy had a blah, blah, blah. You need to look at this documentary, and you need to see how bad Kennedy and his perversions almost got our country in trouble.
But I hope Trump will stay involved. He's got a lot of influence, and he's one of the few people who's had the courage to stand up and fight against the swamp. That's why everybody in the swamp seemed to want to get rid of him, including a lot of Republicans. But he's still active. His endorsement is one of the most cherished in the country by Republicans, and I hope he stays involved. But more than anything else, what a lot of us are working on is taking this idea of an American movement and building on it, because that is what conservatives are trying to conserve, is all of those things that make America great, the values that we cherish here in this country, and our history as well. So I'm excited about the future, but only if we can get Americans engaged in seeing the great divide that has occurred in this country. The left, as you said, has gone completely crazy, San Francisco crazy, and now they're selling it to us through Silicon Valley. And we just need more pastors, Christians, and Americans with common sense to stand up with courage and be fearless like you have been and tell the truth.
I'd love to be in the room when Mar finally realizes that unity among disparate humans can only be achieved through faith in God. I believe he'll have that epiphany within the next 12 months. He's too honest to remain in denial. An honest man can only pretend to be a liberal Democrat for so long, and television is an uncomfortable platform for the last honest man. Each week, Mar sounds more and more like a short-time HBO employee. Nothing breeds honesty more than an expiration date, and honest people can't work forever within corporate media. The restraints are just too tight. You think his ego could handle being a backup in the NFL?
I don't know. Once you reach a certain, I would say no, but once you reach a certain point in your career, sometimes you just have to accept things. And for Cam, he's made a ton of money. That makes it hard. He's made a ton of money. And he might, it's not even can he accept being a backup, Jason? Can the starter accept him being his backup? Because Cam is going to be more popular. Cam is going to be more popular than the starter unless he goes to Green Bay. He goes and plays in Seattle with Russell Wilson. He goes to Tampa Bay. Outside of that, you name a quarterback that's more popular than Cam Newton. The starter doesn't want him as a backup. That's the problem.
No one's dying. Most of these guys are asymptomatic. You can't, and Rich, I'm passionate about this because over the past couple of weeks, none of these guys have the balls yet to come out and put their name on it, but I'm hearing from players across the league. They're bothered by the way they're being treated on this vaccination thing. They don't feel like the NFLPA is standing up for them. I get why Lamar Jackson, he's had COVID twice. He ain't dead. He hasn't been hospitalized. He doesn't want to do it. He's 24, 25 years old. Why take, in his view, an experimental treatment just because because there are people that believe the NFLPA took a check. And that's why they didn't fight the NFL on some of these rules and protocols.
I can't even lift up my own head, man, and my 15-year-old son picks up my hand. And my 15-year-old son said, God, I'm lifting up my daddy in prayer. So I'm telling you, man, I raised a 15-year-old son that this 15-year-old son knows that when times get hard, he knows he can reach out and he can call on the Spirit of Jesus to help his daddy. See, Jason, it's not the fact that God don't help and bless people. It's the fact that people don't stop and tell God thank you for the blessings and the goodness that he's brought for them in their life.
Always been the case in the National Football League is you make a choice, there are consequences associated with that choice. And I would say this, availability becomes very important, responsibility becomes very important, and you have a responsibility to be available to your football team. And if this gives you even it's only a 20% greater chance of being available, well, that to me is worth taking a vaccine for as a player. And I will tell you, listen, man, I guarantee you, if it comes down to the vaccinated player versus the unvaccinated player, and all things are equal, and they're talking about a guy running down on special teams making a play, and NFL teams will choose the vaccinated player because he has more of an ability or more of a likelihood of getting through and being available than the unvaccinated player does.
I want your take on Tucker Carlson, and I think he's the most important voice out there on cable news at this point.
Well, he's certainly a skilled communicator, and he's doing very well gathering an audience. But it's not news reportage. He's coming at it from a world view. And the world view is held by millions of Americans who want to watch what he says because, just like you, Jason, he is fearless. So he'll say things that no one else will say. And when you get into that position, you're going to attract an audience. So my analysis of him is he's very effective at what he does. It's totally different than what I did. He is successful in doing what he does. I don't think it hurts the country. And it's entertaining. He knows how to do this kind of thing.
I said on Tucker Carlson's program that a lot of what we're seeing from the left and just what's being pushed in modern culture, I argue that it's satanic.
Yeah.
And
you and I have talked quite a bit about this. A lot of people don't realize that the way that Satan works is in the mindset and the beliefs that you have. So in 2 Corinthians chapter 10, it talks about spiritual warfare, like there's warfare between the people of God and Satan and the demons. And the context of that spiritual warfare is in the mind, and it's in belief systems. So that the Apostle Paul literally says, we take captive, like we're winning in a war, we take captive every thought and make it or cause it to be submitted to or following Christ.
I'm gonna kill my landlord. C-I-L-L, my landlord.
Now wait, that was
I'm
Eddie
gonna kill
Murphy.
Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah, that was a Eddie Murphy character.
Yeah, that
in
was
Saturday
Eddie
Night Live.
Murphy. That's
Yeah, that was Eddie Murphy. Now, so next time I
Kill
come
my,
on,
that was on Saturday Night Live. Kill
Yeah,
my landlord in the middle of the night.
Yeah.
Kill my landlord.
Simply because he's white.
yeah. So
That's
here's what I'm
Max
gonna
Kellerman.
do.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do next time. I'm going to reference Men on Films next time because I want to see Jimmy's impersonation of Twan. So we're going to save that for the next time I'm on here.
He did some Jimmy in Denver yesterday.
Hated it. Seemed to just leave a bad taste in my mouth, if you know what I mean.
That gets 3 snaps, though.
Yeah.
3 slurps and a burp.
Oh, boy.
I don't think he's ready to be a backup right now psychologically. He's 32 years old, even though his body might be a little bit older because of the punishment. But I think he's, in his mind, he still feels he can be a starter in this league. So I don't think he's going to sign with anybody anytime soon because he's probably going to wait on an opportunity where a starter goes down and they're going to need him to come in and play right away. There might be a couple of situations, but they're not winning situations like the Houston Texans. That could be maybe a team he could go in and start right now for because of the Deshaun Watson situation not being settled. They don't really have a entrenched starter. Tyrod Taylor is a guy there who's a solid guy, but he's not Cam Newton. So there are some situations if he doesn't want to necessarily go to a winning organization, he can go to an organization where he could just play. But if he wanted to get a place right now to be on a football team, he'd probably have to be a backup somewhere because everybody's pretty much ready to go into the season with their starters. But I don't know if he's ready to do that psychologically.
I'm offended by what Doyle is doing, and he's just a symptom of a bigger issue that's going on with the rest of the media. And I'm going to write about this next. There's this God complex going on, where everybody elects themselves God, and they know what's best for Greg Couch, for Jimmy Dodds, for Corey Smith, for Jason Whitlock, and you know what? I'm going to impose my point of view on you. It's a God complex that I just completely reject. You mentioned about the media being a voice for the voiceless. We've totally abandoned that. We're a voice for the establishment. And the establishment, the NFL, says everybody gets a vax and everybody jumps on board like sheep and start bullying people like Carson Wentz and shaming people like Darius Leonard. They're a bunch of cowards. Greg Doyle loves to run around and play the tough guy. This is cowardly behavior.
They want me to take that poison. Now Fauci going around talking about, if I was you, I'd take precautions. Even though you already got a shot, these things come in portions.
Boy, you can't say.
How many more shots you got? See here? See, this is the part that killed me, Jason. It's driving me out of my mind. And now not one mask can I find. I can't get her out of my head. I want to kiss her. I love her. I'm sorry, Granny, but they want me to take that poison.
A young kid named Desmond is Amazing. Anybody who wants to look it up, Google Desmond is Amazing and Good Morning America. They had him on GMA 3 years ago, and they introduced him as a trailblazer who was inspiring. And you know who the person that did the lead-in? Michael Strahan, the 200 and some odd pound Hall of Fame defensive end who that day was playing the role of cultural gelding. Because if he still had his parts, he would have said, there's no way I'm bringing out an 11-year-old and trying to promote him to our youth and not ask his parents why it's okay for him to perform in gay clubs in front of grown men who toss 1s and 5s at his feet. That's the left's agenda. So to me, I'm willing to go on this cultural kamikaze mission with you, because if we're doing it for the culture that we have right now is worth taking down.
Whew.